Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me here on Life Enchanted. I am your girl, Takela Swain, and I am delighted to share with you a love nugget that I discovered this past week or so when I was returning back here into Charlotte area. I've been bouncing around a little bit this month because I've been spending some time with both of my nephews and my niece, and that is always a wonderful time for me. I had an opportunity to celebrate a birthday for my youngest nephew, and my oldest nephew and niece came down with me to go there to celebrate. And then when we got back here, then I was able to spend some quality time with my older nephew and niece as well, because I always like to do little small memories and components with them, little tasks and things that you can remember when you get older, so that you can, have those little nuggets of wisdom also in your youth that can guide you into your adulthood. So after I came back from one of our interactions and things like that, I came back here to the place, and I was looking up some of the news feeds and things like that just to get recap on some things that I missed. And I ran across this story about this young man named Ryan. Ryan is in the fourth grade, and so I think you're maybe 9 or 10 when you're in like the fourth grade. And this young man had actually signed up to be a runner's guide. And so when I initially saw the post, I was excited because the boy was standing with this other young man, and they were doing what appeared to be like cross country. Now, anybody who knows me know that anything dealing with track and cross country and things like that, it just make my blood boil. I get all excited because it is a pastime of mine, and well, even before I began to run in high school and things like that, it was a passion of mine to watch. Like right now, I can't watch the Olympics. I get too hyped. I was like, come on, you guys, we can do what you're doing. So I got to calm down. So I'm like, nah, I can't watch it. I got to, stay away from it. So when I saw the article, immediately I got excited because I was like, oh my God, what is this that's going on with the cross country and what are they carrying out? So when I found out that the little boy was in fourth grade, I was just like, wow, okay. So I guess there's no age range really for you to be able to partner to do that. But what was so extraordinary was that he was partnering with a young man who was actually in the ninth grade. Now, you and I both know that that is a large gap to be partnered with, because when you're in the ninth grade, your body has already begun to develop certain things. Your muscles are stronger, more leaner. You're able to produce and do things a lot quicker than you could necessarily at the fourth grade, because your body is still adjusting, and hormones are just raging everywhere at that moment, because they're having, especially for little boys, different growth spurts and things of that nature that's happening. So when I saw the two paired together, I was like, okay, that's a little interesting, but let me read further. So as I continued to read, I learned that the reason why he was the guide for the older guy, and I'm gonna say the older guy name's wrong, so I'm just gonna call him Kai. So he was a runner aid for Kai because Kai was blind. And so again, I got like excited because I'm like, yes, finally there are things that's being put into place to allow people who have different ways of learning and adjusting to the world around them to be able to still function and flow in different activities that they have the ability to perform in, but may just need a little aid to help them in carrying that out. So I was like, wonderful. Ryan gets to be the eyes for the young man to help him. But in order for him to keep up with him, of course, there were things that he had to do. And so they interviewed Ryan, and he gave his perspective. They shared that what he had to do was, like, in his free time, instead of doing things that you normally would do at the age range, he chose to begin to process different things that can help him to improve his speed, to be able to adjust his body to the demand that was going to be on him, and to help him to be at the level of the guy Kai that he was running with, so that they could run effectively together. And so people would ask him like, well, why why would you want to do that? I mean, you're in the fourth grade. There's so many things you can do. And in order for him to do that, he had to sacrifice what I call like the four or the three F's. He had to sacrifice like time with his friends, because at that age, friends are super important. At any age, friends is important, but especially at that age, because you're forging your community, if you will, that's going to be able to go with you all the way into your high school years and the middle school years and all those things like that. Number two, he had to forfeit some fun, because of course, at that age you have no responsibility, so you're just living life, having fun, enjoying it. And then of course he had to sacrifice one of my love things that I enjoy doing or having, which is food. He had to sacrifice certain foods that he could not eat because he had to train his body to get prepared and ready so that he could be able to keep up with Kai. And so, of course, everybody's like, you got to give up all these things. Why would you want to do that? And he said the most beautiful thing, and I'm going to paraphrase it, of course, in my own words, and to shrink it down a little bit. But basically, what he said was, I do it all for Kai. I want to make sure that I am at my best for him so that he can be able to be at his best. So I'm willing to sacrifice these things on my end so that he can be able to be, I, I don't want to say broadcast, but showcased, or he can achieve his best within his ability without me being a hindrance for him. And so when I read that, I just began like to water up. And I am not one to cry. That's just not my thing. But my eyes began to water because I could not believe that this young man had actually gained that wisdom at such a young age. You know, there's many of us as adults that don't, that's not willing to sacrifice certain things in our lives so that someone else can be able to be spotlighted or to actually be the best that they can be, in order for us to head to I wouldn't say dumb down, but we have to sort of minimize our reach in some areas so that someone else can reach further. And so when I heard him say his paraphrase components that I'm speaking of now, I said, whoever his parents are, his grandparents, whoever's in his circle of support, they are doing a dynamic job, because he is going to be a great young man. And if he continues in this path, which I would love to see him like a couple of years from now to see like where he is and all, but if he continues in this same mindset, he indeed will be one that will change the world. When I thought about this whole process and just the whole delight of knowing that someone was willing to sacrifice and do certain things, it reminded me of a scripture, and I'm going to read that for you today. In John 13:35, it says, by this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. And so when I saw or read the article for Ryan, that immediately became my thought, that whenever we choose to love individuals selflessly and allow them to shine, even if it means that our light have to be dim for a moment, it allows them to see different aspects of love in a whole new way. And that is indeed what Christ has asked us to do as his people, is to allow our light to shine in a way that it draws individuals to him, but then allow our light to dim out so that his can shine brighter. So I want to encourage you guys to be able to do that in your life in whatever capacity that is, so that you can indeed know that there is someone out there that can become better if you will allow yourself to step back a little bit, but to sacrifice on their behalf.